you're gonna go play Harley Quinn.
I'm blonde already. Oh, for me? Oh, we're starting off a question with me?
Yeah.
This is
For
hard.
me?
Yes,
I feel
you
like,
go.
oh, for me?
Remember, we're
Interview
ladies
now.
of Vegas.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 지키 독자분들, 르세라핌의 허윤주입니다. 우! 특별한 분들과 Nice to Meet You를 한번 해보려고 하는데요. 저희 르세라핌이 이번 슈퍼걸이라는 영화에 참여하게 되었거든요. 우후! Celebration Supergirl Remix가 발매되었는데 너무너무 신나고 너무 좋더라고요. 인터뷰할 시간을 갖게 돼서 너무너무 기쁘고 너무 설렙니다. 저도 이런 게 처음이어서 굉장히 기대하는 마음으로 왔는데 아주 재밌는 대화를 할 예정이니 예쁘게 봐주십시오. Hello!
Hi.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, hello from Korea. Good to see you.
Hi from North Hollywood.
Your setup is amazing.
Oh, thank you, thank you. My name is Yoonjin. I am from a girl group called Le Seraphim. We have a special reason why I'm hosting the Supergirl interview today. Our group actually collaborated with Supergirl.
We know it. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Heard it many
my
times.
favorite
It's awesome.
remix. So I'm so
thank
glad
you for doing
to be
this.
here.
Yes.
For us.
Seriously, this
No,
is cool
of
for
course.
us.
Cool for us.
I just heard your
Oh.
music. Did you know that? Did you see it?
Oh my gosh, yes, we are obsessed with the remix.
From the movie, do we get to interview each other?
If you have questions for me, I'm 100% open.
Not really. I don't want to call myself a musician, but I'm like, how long did it take to write it? Do you watch the movie? How do you, like, what was the process it took to make the music?
Oh, for me? Oh, we're starting off a question with me?
Yeah.
Should we flip it or should we interview you?
Yeah, so
We have our album called Pure Flow Part 1. It's our second full studio album, and Celebration was one of the lead singles off that album. Yeah, it's about celebrating your small wins and how far you've come. I think it really suits the movie.
I think that's wonderful.
I'm so obsessed with it. First question I wanted to ask you. Finally got to play Lobo, so I was wondering how much of that was acting?
All of it was acting. It's a matter of like letting your, we have to obey and go obey rules. And, like when I put all that on, it's unapologetically just chaos and I can be as wild as I want to be. So is there a place in there that's me? Of course there's stuff in there, but it's a wonderful, fun role to play. And I didn't get to be in it too much. Every scene we played, there'd be more and more things that would come up. So I'm excited. Hopefully, we'll make one of our own one of these days and get to explore it.
Our team with Seraphim is actually an anagram of I'm Fearless, and a lot of what we talk about is about fear. I want to ask Millie, as Supergirl, what does fearlessness mean to you?
ooh, what does fearlessness mean to me? That's such a big question. I think it means to me having the courage to act perhaps not on an impulse, but the courage to do, say, and be something that scares you. It's to do that and to confront that fear head on. Confronting fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about fear and anxiety, I was curious as to how you feel or how you define fearlessness.
That's a great question. I mean, to me, the first things that come out of fearlessness is just like the self of service to whether that be everyone, to your family, to, however much you want to give. But I feel like that giving and that selflessness is fearlessness to me. Like to fully give yourself over to whether that be your faith or anything, that's kind of fearless for me.
I completely agree with you, and I feel like that also reflects a lot in Kara's character because Kara is far from a perfect hero. Messy and flawed, but wonderfully human, and that makes her more lovable. Why do you think audiences can't help but fall in love with her?
I think that humility is such a valuable quality in a person. In a society where there is an expectation of perfection, comparison, and to be obsolete of flaws, I think that the people that I'm attracted to in my everyday life and the people that I'm also, fans of are people who have that humility and have a very strong set. Does not feel alone, it makes us feel seen.
I completely agree with you. And that also makes me wonder, to Anna, as a writer, writing this script and story, what do you think, flawed heroes have about them?
Yeah, I think that we all feel like inadequate. Everyone feels like their flaws are glaring and are holding them back. And then to see somebody who we meet as such a flawed young woman, the challenge over and over and over again, and then in the end feel worthy of, you know, wearing this mantle, we also can do that. Our flaws maybe are really part of the tapestry and not the thing that's holding us back.
You know, the film deals with a lot of loss and revenge and healing, and in the middle of that, Lobo is the one character that kind of just says don't take life too seriously and brings all that fun and chaos and a sense of freedom and I feel like liberation in this way as well.
You definitely kind of nailed it on the head, though. I think it definitely, you know, I am a vehicle to, you know, bring opposition to probably some of the views in there. Definitely fighting right and wrong, and I'm obviously dangling off both. I mean, he's definitely in the gray area. So, you know, even the moment at the end that we can't bring up, but even in the end, and I'm sitting on the cliff talking about, you know, do it, and you know, he's that little guy on your shoulder going, yeah, jump. Yeah, do it. Just adds a little, you know, it adds just the other, you know, just good storytelling. If you go, who would you want to play if you got to play any superhero in the world? Who would you like to play?
Me?
Yeah.
For me, I'm definitely more of an anti-hero or villain kind of person because I really do like the layer of depth that those characters always bring to stories.
You're gonna go play Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn, I'm blonde already.
Have so much fun. Now you would go, sure, you're not a bad person, you're a good human being, but you're gonna go play these things and what it would be like to be unapologetically do what, you know, and have that, put whatever was like those things in you, like this is how it's gonna come out. It's fun to play those things, and I just loved Lobo when I was a little kid, just going like, he's that anti-hero, the motorcycle and the hair and gun. I just loved all that act, and I loved the fact that he could fight Superman and, you know, the uber good guy and then the billionaire who just dressed up and fought crime. Like, I just like the idea of being this bounty hunter that could just go kick some ass on his own.
Superhero movies, I feel like, are very empowering to people for different reasons. What do you personally look for when watching superhero movies as an actor who's been in several?
I don't think it's not just a superhero movie. I want to be moved. I want to be able to change my perspective on something. I want to see even a villain, you know, be justified for the reason why he is a villain or why the person does. I just love story. To me, you don't need all these explosions and all these things to do it. I just want to be moved by great stories. Learn more about humanity and someone else's view, and take that time to watch this movie. It can change me and it can make me even more, you know, just filled with more beauty. I love being pleasantly surprised when you watch a movie and you're like, damn, I'm thinking about it for the week, and it's occupying my mind. I wish this, you know, you want everything to, you know, I want a great movie.
100%. I think we're all chasing good stories, and I think stories are what make life purposeful. Yeah, I definitely think I respect you so much, you know, everybody who's making art because of the storytelling and all the effort and power that they put into. After watching the film, I felt like super isn't really about superpowers. The word super in Supergirl with just one word, what would it be?
This is
For
hard.
me,
Yes,
I feel
you
like,
go.
oh, for me?
Remember, we're
Interview,
splitting
you
the
know?
topic. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna interview you.
Oh, I'm super into ube actually. So it would be like ube girl, kind of like,
Oh.
you know, choosing to find the small happiness in life. And I feel like that's also a big part of being resilient. So it would be like ube girl for me. I'd be ube girl.
Mine doesn't have girl in it, but what I think she is I think she's a real one.
She's a real one.
She's like a total
She's a
ride
real
or die.
one.
You call her when
100%.
you did your worst thing, and she's
there.
like, I'm here.
I'm here.
I love that. We're all real ones.
Best thing to be.
For those who feel like they really need a hero, I feel like I need a hero. What do you hope Supergirl has to say to them?
What it has to say is that a hero can be found in a very unlikely place. Might be in yourself.
Oh my God.
That was good.
Okay.
That was really good.
that was it. Now I'm done.
That was so good. I feel like that's gonna, you know, stay with me before I fall asleep. Yeah, I'm gonna have to write that. I'm gonna memo that.
That will be also
Thank you,
on.
guys.
That will go out with our hat
That was
and
the
our
back of the hat.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, the back of the hat.
Back of the hat.
I like that.
Guys, we're really
We're nailing
we're nailing it.
I love that.
I have a question for you. You've had a couple
Oh, for me.
When you're writing, so like you and your, how many in your group?
We're a group of 5.
Do you ever write from different points of views? Do you write from your own experiences, or is it easy sometimes to just go and remove yourself, play? Like if you saw something or you saw a show, you're gonna like, what would it be like to be in that world, in that mindset? You're gonna write from that character's point of view. It'd be like me writing Lobo's journals and like from his point of view. Like, do you write as an artist from other ways, or do you draw upon your own life and like write from your own side?
Especially our team, our identity is like autobiographical stories and we have like a personal narrative that we draw from our personal experiences. So like acting is where you know, take on a character and really immerse yourself into different various worlds. But for us, it's kind of on a different end of the spectrum.
But you're drawing on something that you're drawing on your own personal experiences.
Our album is, you know, another.
It feels very healing. It feels very healing.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. It is.
Yeah, music is the ultimate to me. It's a definitely powerful healer for sure.
You know, movies are just the same. So I'm really excited for everybody to watch this movie. How do you, as artists, also keep yourself from losing yourself when the world tells you, oh, this is what's good, this is what's bad, this is right, and this is wrong?
I don't feel that it's always a straight path that, okay, now I feel good about myself, now I feel like I know myself, and I'm gonna stay on this trajectory, because the beautiful thing about being a person is that we're constantly this beautiful ecosystem of contradiction. But I think that fundamentally, as you age and as you have different lived experiences, you do find solace in who you are, and sometimes you know the decisions that you were going to make. And once you find comfort within that and within yourself, I think that you're kind of free. Don't be on the phones.
Yeah, don't be on
Don't be on the phones.
Should we put that on a hat?
Yeah, don't be on the phones.
That, don't be on the phones. I would buy on a shirt.
Two, backpack. Okay.
I also had a question to you, Anna. I think she goes through a lot of like character development throughout the movie. And in the beginning of the story, how did you define Kara's emotional void transformation? Did you, as a writer, ultimately want to express?
We see like that extreme loss, and I thought if we can see that girl rise, then like that is such an ultimate hero's journey. And then she chooses to rise anyway. Like then like I love her.
Yeah, that story of resilience, I think, is really
Exactly.
empowering. I wanted to ask Millie, as Supergirl, when you were expressing these emotions, kindness kind of feel to you? Like, how did you define being good?
I think that being good sometimes doesn't fall under the convention of perfection and of right. I think that Kara is such a beautiful example that sometimes you have to be a bit bad to be very, very good. Having to do something difficult or to do something that could hurt somebody else, but for the greater good. And sometimes that's kindness.
That kind of moves something in me right now because I've been having like this theme. So thank you so much for the time. It was short, but I am so fulfilled and so happy.
That was great. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
We don't interview people, but here we are, 2 artists interviewing each other. So good job.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Aloha.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you guys. Thank you. If you're ever in Korea, let me know. 첫 인터뷰. 휴! 식은땀. 항상 저희는 이제 인터뷰를 대답을 하는 입장으로 인터뷰를 진행하는데 질문을 또 하는 건 처음이어서 굉장히 떨렸지만 자연스럽게 인터뷰에서 그 대화가 돼가지고 인터뷰하면서 인터뷰를 당할 수도 있구나를 오늘 처음 배웠습니다. 슈퍼히어로에 대한 질문을 했는데 예상치 못한 곳에서 발견하는 게 슈퍼히어로인 것 같다는 이야기를 해주셨는데 그게 굉장히 컸어요. 있습니다. 좋아했던 대사 중 하나가 카라 어머님께서 Just be good. That doesn't mean you cannot be tough. And that doesn't mean you have to be nice. But you must be good. 선함을 이야기하는 장면인데 어떤 일이 있어도 항상 선할 수 있는 방법, 방식을 택하는 게 정말 강한 사람의 증거라고 느끼는데 살면서 그런 순간들이 늘 오는 것 같아요. 나를 마치 테스트하는 것처럼 너 정말 강하니 하면서 시련을 계속 던지고 계속 다정하고 계속 착할 거니? 그런 상황 속에서 그래도 굳이 희망을 믿고 긍정적인 에너지를 가지고 웃는 게 가장 좋은 방식인 것 같은데 그런 이야기를 이 영화에서 해주셔서 너무너무 좋은 것 같고 특히 이 시대에 너무 좋은 영향이 될 것 같아서 많은 사람들이 봤으면 하는 마음이 큽니다. 진짜 영화 대사에 말하는 것처럼 선함이 약한 게 아니고 꺾이지 않는 부드러움을 계속 가지고 가면서 살면은 분명 돌아오는 게 있고 풍요로운 삶이 될 수 있다고 늘 믿으려고 해서 메시지를 잘 담고 있는 영화라고 생각이 듭니다. 카라와 루시가 굉장히 다른 곳에서 서로를 만났지만 거기서 맺는 우정, 유대감, 그런 연대가 있기 때문에 끝까지 서로를 놓치지 않을 수 있었다고 생각을 하는데 왜 그럴 수 있었냐라고 생각을 해보면은 나만의 세계가 있는 줄만 알았는데 너의 세계도 있구나 하면서 나랑 비슷한 점을 찾게 되고 거울이 돼주기도 하고 나의 세계가 그 영역이 넓혀지는 그런 경험들을 살면서 경험하게 되는데 나를 더 발견해주게 하는 사람들이랑 가장 오래 관계가 맺어지는 것 같고 이어지는 것 같고 지금 가까이 있는 멤버들도 다른 길을 걸어왔지만 우리만 아는 모습이 있고 우리만 느껴본 감정들이 있고 멤버들을 보면 마치 나를 보는 것 같고 나를 보면은 멤버들도 이제 스스로를 발견하는 순간들도 있었기 때문에 끈끈함이 생길 수 있었다고 생각을 해요. 카라와 루시도 비슷한 그런 거지 않았을까. 너무 외로운데 나만 외로운 게 아니구나 하면서 가까워졌던 거라고 보면서 느껴서 그런 거라고 믿습니다. 5명의 슈퍼걸, 5명의 real ones. 셀레브레이션이 이제 영화에도 나와요. 어느 장면에 나올지 여러분들 궁금하시죠? 그렇다면 꼭 극장에서 슈퍼걸 봐주세요. 지금까지 윤진의 시네마였는데요. 저는 오늘 너무너무 즐겁고 이런 시간이 또 있었으면 좋겠는 마음이 오늘 커져서 갑니다. 우리 또 봐요. 안녕.